Sovereign debt crisis makes gold and commodities explode in price. What's the solution in such a scenario? Yeah, I don't know that I'd agree with that. I think it depends on your time frame. If you're talking about short term, what like over like a month or two, what would a sovereign debt crisis do? I don't think that would make gold and commodities explode. I think it'd make it tank, because you're talking about complete. That's like a black swan crisis type deal. And in a black swan crisis, people sell gold because it's the only thing they can sell. And we saw this during 2008. We saw this during March 2020. Gold got sold. It didn't get purchased. So commodities, same thing. When you have a financial crisis, when you have a recession, when you have a depression, whatever, commodity prices usually go down. They don't explode higher. And again, if you want confirmation of that, go right back to OPEC, the prior question. I think OPEC would agree. So now if your question is what happens over a year or two, then I would agree, because you have to consider, okay, we've got this crisis situation, we've got this economic recession. What's the government's response? So if the government's response, and assuming that we have disinflation, deflation, like we had in during the GFC, then the government's response is to stimmies, direct transfer payments. Even if they're not increasing M2, they're taking low velocity money from savings and turning it into high velocity money through stimmy checks. And then also, the government's response will most likely hurt global supply chains that are already fractured, that are already broken. And you combine that with a global economy that is bifurcating into BRIC countries and West countries. And you're going to see on the supply side, I think, is where you're going to see a lot of problems, at least over the next 10 years. It might not be so much on the demand side, although short term, I think you could have some big problems there. So again, short term, I would see, maybe gold goes up. A debt crisis, I think it probably gets sold off a bit. Same thing with commodities. But then longer term, I think the government's response to that would make that sell off a very good buying opportunity.